I'm here with Mike Scharringhausen from the Schaumburg Athletic Association. Mike, welcome to Because.
Thanks, great to be here again.
Hey, thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it. Tell us a little bit about your past involvement and current involvement with the Schaumburg Athletic Association.
It's pretty heavy. I've been involved with theirs. My son's 16, so I've been involved for a good 10, 12 years. The last 4 or 5 been involved in the executive board. There's a VP there, and been coaching and managing teams all the way through, whether it's baseball, basketball, and now lacrosse. So we're getting, I've been involved now is looking to get lacrosse up to speed. I'm involved with lacrosse and lacrosse board as well as the executive board. I want to talk to you a little bit about lacrosse.
Great, yeah, let's hear it. But I know that's one of the newer offerings. And before we get into that, thank you for your involvement in SAA over the years. I know having kids that are involved in the program, it takes a lot of volunteers yourself to keep it going, and that's really important for our community to have a solid athletic association, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, it's all of SAA, though, is run by volunteers. I mean, you have a few part-time to help with some of the admin in the background, but that's kind of the reason why lacrosse come to speed now that we haven't a couple of years ago, is because we are all parent-run, we need the parents or people involved to volunteer and get the programs up to speed. So lacrosse, we thought about doing a couple of years ago, and we had a few people interested in doing it, but didn't really have that groundswell. And over the last year or so, there's really been a groundswell of people asking about lacrosse, enough so that we can get a board developed and people to run the sport.
Yeah. So tell us a little about this sport. Were kind enough to bring one of the.
Yeah, brought some of the props and some of the new stuff coming
in.
That's right there is the main stick, or on the East Coast they'll call it a spoon, but in the Midwest you would call it a stick. You'll see 3 different sticks in lacrosse, but primarily that's the primary one right through there. The play on a field about the size of a soccer field, a little over a soccer field. It's similar to hockey in that there's lines are changing, from offense to defense, and you have a goalie and a 6x6 net that you can go both sides all around the net.
Right. And stick-wise, I know there's different lengths for different positions. Is that right?
Exactly. So this is the most common here, or what's called a shorty or short stick, and that's the most common one. And most of the people we start the lacrosse when we're using the short stick.
Okay.
You'll have a goalie stick which has a much bigger head, and then also when and the game develops and the skill sets are there, there'll be what's called a D pole or a defensive pole, and the length on the stick will be probably about double what it is here. So the head will be similar, but it'll have a much longer shaft on it.
Okay.
And the purpose of that is they can jab and prod and actually intercept passes on it.
Right. Oh, very cool. So lacrosse in general, and you said it's gaining steam in the area, and you mentioned the East Coast. It's pretty prevalent out there already.
It's been pretty heavy for quite some time. I mean, the game goes back a long time in the U.S. and as far as when the kids get involved, they found out the Native Americans were playing it.
No kidding.
But as far as the modern version of it, it's been on the East Coast for some time. In the Midwest here, District 211's been playing it for I want to say 5-6 years in the high schools, and it's just the last 3 years it's really exploded. In the last year, the numbers are through the roof. So we play in some different house leagues around the area. And all of a sudden now it's gone from 100 kids playing to 600 kids playing.
No kidding.
And it's time for SAA to get involved and more of that feeder and get the skills developed at a younger age, as opposed to just waiting for the high school to get up to speed.
And as far as SAA involvement, I know you have something coming up this winter as far as kind of an entry-level introduction, or what would you call it?
Perfect. An introductory, a skills camp, for lack of a better term. We're starting one in November. It'll be run maybe 4 or 5 weeks. And then we're looking to do a couple more before the season starts. We're looking to have this be a spring sport, so it'll start in April and go through late June, early July. And that way it matches up to what the high school is doing.
Oh, that makes sense. Sure.
And it's both boys and girls. This helmet we have here is actually for what the boys are wearing, but we're looking to will be a program for the boys and girls as well.
Well, that's great. And as far as age divisions and classifications, things like that, is it pretty similar to soccer and baseball where certain ages are paired up, or how does
very similar. With this first year, it'll be a learning curve for SAA as far as we're not sure how many people actually come out. So we're hoping for more than we know what to do with.
Sure.
But the goal in this first part of the board, we'll start with probably 4th or 5th graders, and then go through 8th grade, and then let the high school take over from there. And the reason we're starting there is the catching and throwing the ball is not as easy as it seems. So
Sure.
it needs to be a little bit of the fine motor skills
Right.
going through, as opposed to like a soccer ball, you can go and track it down.
Sure.
But this little ball
Yeah.
hitting inside the pocket on the stick's a little bit more involved.
Yeah, a little
So
heavy ball.
it is heavy, and it hurts. I mean, that's the reason why you see the mask and the big helmet is when a kid's not paying attention, you don't want one of these hitting the back of your head.
Right, and you mentioned fairly similar to hockey as far as technique and style of play, as far as wingers and centers and defense roaming.
Everyone else trying to figure what sport is the best of it, and probably hockey's the closest in that. You also have some basketball pieces and some soccer pieces as well. But in a lacrosse, a full-size field, you'll have 10v10 with a goal on each side.
Okay.
There'll be 3 on defense that can't go past the half court of the line.
Okay.
3 midfielders who can cover the whole field,
Huh.
and then 3 defensive men who can or defensive women can only go up to their half of the field. So there's 3 that go the whole field, and the other 3 on each side can only go up to that midpoint without going offside.
Wow, so it is 10 on 10. I didn't realize that. And so the regulation lacrosse field is about how many
It's
yards?
it's about the same, a little bit larger than a football field.
Okay.
It can be any size depending on the age group. With the smaller ages, we'll look to shrink that field a little bit so there's a little more touches.
Sure.
There's no sense in having
Right.
a kid run 30
Right.
yards to pick up a ball. But with the high school level, if you see their fields, it's basically the soccer fields the Lions are playing on, a little bit larger.
Okay.
The goals are 6 foot by 6 foot.
Okay.
And there's just like in hockey, but there's a crease that goes all the way around,
Okay.
where that's the goalie space, and you can't go inside of it.
Is it similar to soccer or hockey in respect to the goal? Can the players go behind the goal like in hockey, or is it like soccer where the goal going behind the goal is out of bounds?
No,
as far as the net goes.
Yeah, with lacrosse, the attackman actually play behind it.
Okay.
Like what they call the X-Man will play behind the
No
net
kidding. Okay.
and kind of control
That's
the
cool.
offense. So there's depending on the size of the field, anywhere from 10 to 15, 20 yards behind the goal. Let's say 10 yards behind the goal.
Right.
Don't hold me that it's the field
Sure,
dimensions
sure.
on this.
No, that's okay.
But they can play behind the net and then actually pivot to their and run the offense
Oh,
from
that's
there.
very cool. Very cool. And I know from just seeing, I live right over by Campanelli Park, and there's kids playing with lacrosse sticks out in the fields there, just practicing and things like that. And
You're seeing the same thing I am as well.
Yeah, as we talked about the show, I have a couple neighborhood kids that have a pitchback, and instead of a baseball, they're throwing a lacrosse ball against the pitchback. So I think as far as SAA timing-wise, I think you're hitting it right on that.
I think so. We're expecting big things. I mean, just the little bit of word of mouth on it. We have this first clinic is filling up fast, and by the time this airs, we'll be in the midst of it. So if you want to come out and see it, they'll be running on Monday and Tuesday over at Sports Center
Right.
in the evening for, I think, maybe an hour and a half, depending on
Okay.
age group. We're kind of staggering that. And I hope to do another clinic again, just to get some of the basic ideas and skills out
Sure.
to those who've never touched a stick and what the game's about. I mean, one of the biggest people are afraid of or not are concerned with as far as parents is that you got all this gear and I don't want my kids getting beat up.
Right.
Or is it like football, you're beating this up. The main thing, if you're watching a well-played lacrosse game, they're not really killing each other, trying to run over each other. The main reason for the equipment is for these sticks. These guys
Sure.
are whacking around, and the ball is hard, it's going through. And there's a little bit difference in the game between boys and girls, and the boys tend much more aggressive and do some checking and some stick checking.
Right.
Where on the girls' side, the helmet will just be like a face guard to protect their eyes.
Okay.
And they're not nearly as aggressive. They're not checking, and they're not physically putting their bodies against one another as what happens in the boys' levels.
Right. So the contact's less body to body, more stick to body on occasion.
Exactly. And occasionally, there'll be some scrums when the ball's on the ground.
Sure.
They're going through it, but the equipment isn't designed for, like you see with football, there's
Sure.
explosive hits into each other. It's more protecting against the sticks and the balls coming at them in
Right.
different ways. We're not noticing it.
And then so the startup clinics are starting now. Registration is ongoing now. And then as far as the spring season goes, the anticipation of registration being
Actually, registration for the spring season's open now.
Oh, great.
We're at a wait to kind of wait. We're follow the tradition with softball and baseball. But we want to get open. We have a very active board that also is gun-ho, ready to do it. Originally, we thought the clinics at the first of the year, and they wanted one right away. So there's one starting now, and then hopefully get another clinic before the spring. But registration is open right now for the spring season. It's at SAAonline.com. Underneath the lacrosse tab. There's a lot of information that's being updated under the lacrosse tab as well. So if anyone's interested in finding more about it as far as anything,
Right.
there's a lot of stuff there as far as videos as well to learn a little bit about it. because it is a learning curve.
Sure.
But once you get into, kids love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. The ones who do it, they find a passion for it, and it's neat to see.
Well, I think, and excuse the wrong analogy, I think it's going to be a home run for SAA to get involved in lacrosse.
I think it,
and
and
I think
then
from seeing the standpoint of kids being active in our community, starting to play it already, and knowing neighboring communities starting to get involved too, I think the timing is really, really right.
I agree.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add in regards to lacrosse that you can think of before we finish up, Mike?
Just that it's a boys and a girls program, and we're looking to get as many families involved. Any questions at all, give us a call, find more information on the website, or send an email to us, and we'll love to see you out there. When the clinics come out and see a little bit about it.
Right.
If you don't want to participate in the clinics, just come see what it's all about.
Sure.
And talk to the parents and the other kids.
Sounds like a great idea. Well, Mike, really appreciate you coming in again. I know you came in last year as well. I appreciate you coming in again.
Anytime.
Appreciate you guys that volunteer for SAA. It really does make a difference in what we do in the community.
And
here.
thank you for all the support in the Park District as well.
Quite welcome.
Can't do without it.
Looking forward to it.
Great.
Well, please stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages.